Alrighty. Hey Nick, how are you? Glad to have you on the pod. And how are you, man?
Hey Harshal, I'm well, thanks. It is 9:30 a.m. in California, and so everything's looking good. Early in the week, lots of energy.
Awesome. We are at a 12-hour break. It's almost 10 at my end. But yeah, happy to connect. Just for context, guys, me and Nick connected via Twitter briefly, and I was also trying out a lot of tools, and I ran into Mocha. And while I was trying out Mocha, Nick also DM, so it happened very simultaneously. And we were like, let's hit it off. I would love to know more about your product. Yeah. And something I really liked is like, I was going through your journey, and you have gone from starting your journey as a AI intern at a company to now being a founder of a AI first company. So I was curious, just walk us through the journey so far.
Yeah. I studied math and physics in France, like it was 15 years ago now. And so at the time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a data scientist or a software engineer. So my first internship was I'm an engineer. I was writing models. These were linear regression models. Simple models. And I did that for 6 months, and I realized that the part of the job I liked the most was writing the code that would orchestrate the ML model in the product and make it useful. And so I kind of pivoted it from that to like full-time software engineering. I moved to San Francisco, which was always my dream. I was reading Paul Graham's essays. My dream was always to do Y-Combinator, which I eventually did. But like for 10 years, I was in the Valley, and I worked as a developer in a multitude of different companies. I worked on mobile apps. I worked on at Pinterest, like high scale cloud consumer apps. I worked at Cruise on self-driving cars. And then I even worked in crypto for a year at a company called Privy that just recently got
Yeah.
acquired by Stripe. Fantastic exit for them. And now I'm building my own company in the AI space. And so it has come full circle. And I am now
Yeah.
an AI founder.
Awesome, man. That was something I really liked. And I was going through a post that you were working at Pinterest, leading the AI side of things and building models, and now to finally doing your own thing. So kudos on the journey, man. Yep. So could you introduce the audience to what is Mocha and just give a brief demo?
Mocha. Yeah, yeah.
Idea.
So
Mocha,
Mocha
sorry.
is it's fine. We picked the name thinking it would be international and like easy to pronounce, but it turns out it's not as
Yeah.
intuitive as we thought, which is hard. Yeah, so Mocha is an AI app builder. It allows you to go from like basically your idea to useful application, useful software. Our vision is not just to build like front ends, but to build like apps that can do stuff and that have value in the world. And so there's a few of these out there. It's a popular space. It's a very new and nascent space, but it's super promising. I think it's going to evolve a lot in the next few years. And so with Mocha, you could basically speak in English, and in exchange, you get like a web app that you could deploy in one click and just run really easily. And so the vision for this is personal software. So the vision is if we make it really easy for anybody to just like share their ideas on the internet, then there's a lot more ideas that will get built. So we think that creativity is a liquid resource. If coding becomes really cheap, a lot more people will write code, a lot more code will get written. And so we think in the future there'll be like 10, 1,000x more web apps in the world, which is going to be super exciting.
Yeah, I agree with you. And do you think, as with your product like Mocha, and sorry for the mistake in the naming, but with products like Mocha, do you think because the world is shifting from a place of going from a language of coding to English, right? We're shifting towards more English prompted code development, vibe coding, as we said. I mean, that's different. But what do you think for people who are non-devs who want to enter into this domain and work with products like Mocha, building their personal softwares? How do you think they should like navigate into the space, and like what are some things that they should be looking into?
Yeah. So we feel pretty strongly we're building Mocha specifically for non-technical people, and we want to make it work for non-technical people. And I think there will be a category of products that are like designed to be for technical people, and then another one for non-technical people. And actually, it's a spectrum. So some of them are in the
Hmm.
middle. But like Mocha, it really, so to answer your question, it depends on what your profile is. Are you learning how to code, or do you want to build something because you're interested in how code works and you want to get better at that? Or is it because you really have an idea and you care a lot about the outcome? You want the idea to exist. You don't care about the code. If you can avoid learning it,
Hmm.
then great. And so it depends a lot on your profile. And so we're very focused on the latter persona I just described. If you're someone who's
Hmm.
very outcome focused, if you have an idea and you really want it to exist and you don't care about learning how to code, that's secondary. Coding is just
Hmm.
a means to an end. The end is your idea.
Hmm.
If you're that kind of person, then Mocha's perfect for you. And then if you're there's someone who's trying to like understand code, do more complex things, get stronger and stronger, then there are other products that I would recommend that are like better at teaching. Like Cursor is the archetype one in this category. That's
Mm-hmm.
really good at like it makes you stronger because you're interfacing with the code a lot. In Mocha, we try and abstract away all of the code. You speak English, you see databases, they look like Excel spreadsheets, which is like an interface that people understand. You can deploy with one click without understanding anything about infrastructure. Our whole objective is that you could build, gain traction, and operate a website without any technical knowledge so that you can focus only on your domain knowledge. Like the examples I like to give is we have a customer who's like a shower door designer. The guy's he's not a developer and he doesn't care about tech. But to him, building an online web app with Mocha, which allows his customers to design their doors, saves him like tons of time and increases his business. So those are the use cases that I love because that person is super not interested in the code itself. They're interested in the outcome. It's useful to their customers.
Interesting. So if I may understand it, Mocha is allowing people is an enabler for people who don't understand code or can't code. Is an enabler for them to build tech solutions tailored to their own problems and help them solve them. And you have a real life
Exactly.
use.
Building useful software. Yeah, yeah. So solving their problems or making money online. It could be like building something useful for your family, for yourself, for your community, but it could also be making money online. A lot of people are like they have an idea, they want to monetize it, they want to build a
Hmm.
one person, 2-3 person SaaS. They don't have a CTO. Mocha's a great option for them as well.
Yep. So just curious because you started this in 23, right? At that time, how did this idea pop up to you? How did you come across this idea? Because I'm assuming you must have had a journey to finally land into this idea.
Oh, we had a journey. Yeah, yeah, we had a journey.
Yeah.
So we started the company in 2023 and we went through my co-founder and I had worked together at Cruise for 3.5 years and then at Privy for like a year. So we're good friends. We'd worked together in multiple contexts. We knew we wanted to found together. And we joined YC without really an idea. So we joined YC in a hurry and we went through the idea maze. And it turns out that our first idea was a TypeScript framework for AI. We thought that a lot of AI was happening in TypeScript, and so it was a dev tool. It was like a library. It's very similar to
Hmm.
Vercel's AI library. And that worked okay, but we found that there was more. The market was pulling us towards focusing on certain parts of the framework, in particular evals. And so we built like an eval tool. This is all like over a few months. We built an eval tool. This is still in the dev tools category. We knew we wanted to build an AI, but at the time, by the way, we had tried to do an backend as a service, so the AI writes code, but it wasn't working in
Oh,
2023. It wasn't good.
yep.
So we were very disappointed. So we focused on other things. And so we built an eval service, and that didn't work. And after that, like we didn't like the space. Like it wasn't useful to customers. We were trying to sell this thing and we had customers using it and we just could tell that it wasn't that useful. And most people wanted to build custom solutions. So to help them do that, we built a TypeScript notebook similar to Jupyter notebooks. If the audience is non-technical, this is going to
Hmm.
be not very useful. So I'll just go fast. But that led us to everybody asking, hey, I have a notebook, but I want to make it interactive. They were really asking for an app. And so at a hackathon, this was in 2024, I go to like a YC hackathon and I'm like, I'm going to prototype CodeGen. I'm going to see what the models can do today. A year ago, they weren't good enough. Let's see how good
Hmm.
they are now. And it turns out Claude 3.5 had just come out and it was insane. It was so good. And as soon as my prototypes, like I showed my prototypes to my CTO and we were like, oh, this is obviously what we're going to do. Like if they're here today, they're not perfect, but they're going to get better. 5 years from now, we're going to be able to take our phones out of our pockets, ask for an app, get it in 2 seconds and use it. That's just clearly going to happen. And so we were always very excited about CodeGen. I like building tools for other people to build tools. And so, yeah, we started Mocha and we've been doing it for 8 months now.
So that was your Eureka moment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Interesting. So I think one of the, I come from an engineering background. I worked as software engineer. So I think something the engineers are concerned about is how with code becoming a cheaper entity, how will the engineering space evolve?
Yeah. It's a really good question. I think about this a lot and I've changed my mind a little bit, but the pillars of my opinion have not changed. So I was trained as mathematician and physicist. And so in France we call these engineers, but really the definition of an engineer that I always believed was someone who solves problems. And
Mm.
the tools change, but there are always problems. And so having a strong ability to solve problems at a very high level, breaking problems down into sub-problems, divide and conquer, like incrementally making progress, the ability to debug and troubleshoot, all of this is like intemporal and independent of tools. So I think there will always be, like throughout history, there has always been a high demand for engineers of all kinds.
Hmm.
And I think that AI will change the tooling landscape a lot. I think the job is going to change, but I think the demand for engineers is going to stay very high. We're going to be figuring out what the AI did wrong. We're going to be probably operating a bunch of agents and understanding what went wrong and giving it scope and understanding what the boundaries are and making decisions that it can't make. So on the one hand, I think it is going to replace a lot of like typing characters in a terminal and typing characters in an editor. Like a lot of that, most code, like characters, will be written by AI. But I still think
Hmm.
developers will be terribly involved to orchestrate everything, to decide what the boundaries are, to debug when things go wrong. You need to understand the system if something goes terribly wrong. Imagine asking the AI, please fix it, and it can't do it. What, are you going to start begging? Like at some point, someone needs to be able to understand down to
Yep.
the ones and zeros. So there will always be a need.
Yep. Interesting. So, but as this scene evolves, I think what will be really valued is someone's fundamental and understanding of the landscape and being, as you said, orchestrate things to happen, right? Yeah, that's true. So, do you think there'll be people who are master at it having like, I mean, it's already happening, but people having rather than five employee team having instead of three people having a Mocha and a marketer and like building a company out of
Yeah.
AI agents.
Yeah. First of all, it's already happening. I
Yeah.
don't really believe in the extreme. I think there will be extreme examples. There'll be like a guy that's a super agent orchestrator that has only AI agent employees, and that'll exist, but it'll be at the margins. I still think that company building at its core, first of all, it's a communal experience. You do it as a
Yeah.
tribe, as a group. And so taking that away, during COVID, startups started going remote and their success rates started dropping. There's a reason why
Yep.
when you're in person together and you're exchanging ideas and you have different worldviews and those worldviews are colliding, that leads to creativity. I think that, and also that's fun. It's just like the human experience. I don't
Yep.
think that's going away. I do think one engineer will go like 10 times further. One marketer will go 10 times further. So instead of hiring
Hmm.
three marketers, you will hire one. Instead of hiring 10 or 15 developers, you'll hire one or two. But that's kind of already the case. Think about it with cloud.
Yep.
Like you need so fewer engineers to get like a very high scale. We are running like a global service with global payments running on data centers across the world, and we have like three engineers because of Fly and Google GCP and Stripe and all these tools. So we're already building on the shoulders of giants. I think it's going to continue. Humans keep adding tools and abstraction layers. But I think humans will always be there will always be groups of humans attempting to like solve other people's problems. It's like it's our nature to do this.
Yeah, I got that. I think that makes sense. People who are problem solvers will always leverage these tools to keep solving problems. You mentioned YC, right? I think globally, YC is the thing to be in, right? Uh, Everyone who is building something is like YC is their dream. In fact, when during my working time, I was like, if I can get into a YC company as a founding engineer or something, I'm sorted. So, yep, would love to know your YC experience. I know that average rejection, like you need to go through four rejections before getting in. That's a ritual usually. But what was it for you?
Yeah. So YC was my dream basically since I discovered Hacker News, like when I was, I don't know, 19. So, and then I only joined YC when I was 33. So I spent 10 years basically always a fan of YC. I joined YC Startups. URX was a YC startup. They got acquired by Pinterest. Cruise is founded by Kyle. It's a YC startup. So I was already deeply embedded in the ethos. Um, and so for me, actually, we got in on the first try, and we got in without night. I feel like we got in really easily, but it's also because we had kind of earned our stripes. Like they take in a lot of like younger people, and it's very competitive if you're 22, because like there's just a lot more people of that age. Like our profile is more rare. They don't have that many teams of like two engineers who've worked together at YC companies like Cruise and that like are really motivated, have quit their jobs, because a lot of people that are senior tend to apply why they still have a job at Google. But we had quit and we were doing this, and we told them like we're doing this with or without you. And so I think we kind of fit the profile well. We met a YC partner, Diana, who's awesome, and we just clicked, and so like the application just happened very smoothly for us. That being said, once you get in, it seems very hard to get in, but once you get in, like the journey just begins. Everything is yet to be done. It's very hard. It's an amazing experience.
Hmm.
It's funny because I feel like I knew YC because I was paying attention to. I've read so many blogs and stories, and I've talked to so many YC founders, so I feel like I knew what it is, and I knew the facts of what it is. But the feelings, like how you feel when you do it, is very different. You cannot It's hard to explain in words. Like other people have to feel it. It's like therapeutic. You're surrounded by people who are so ambitious and so smart and working so hard, and every day everybody's trying to solve problems faster and faster and faster. And you're talking
Mhm.
with them, and so you're inspired and you're competitive and inspired, and you want to win, and you're full of admiration, and you see all these great founders who come give you talks. It's a really stimulating time. You spend 3 months and you come out of it, and it's like, oh my god, like you're so inspired. What's hard actually is after YC, there's a thing called the post YC slump, because you go from being surrounded by all this energy, and then you have to go basically
Oh,
by yourself with your co-founder, and you have to figure things out. And that was also the case for us, although it went okay.
interesting. I'm just curious because I think a lot of people like me as well. So you were also fan. You have seen the YC from outside, but if you could just give, maybe I am also curious, like some small incidents inside the YC circle. Like what makes YC to be YC?
Yeah. Um, a couple things that surprised me. So you don't spend that much time doing YC things. You check in with, like, you have a meeting every 2 weeks. It's not like you're going to class every day, right? It's not at all that. It's really you're working on your startup, and like every 2 weeks you go to like a sections chat with a bunch of other founders sitting in chairs, and you talk about your goals
Hmm.
for last 2 weeks and or last week and what you've achieved and set new goals. Um, and really they're just teaching you to set super ambitious goals and like spread to learn, like try and get growth in many different ways. Um,
Hmm.
and so those talks are really so we can't share too. I can share the format, but we're not allowed to share company details for obvious reasons. Like it's all off the
Yeah.
record. That's an amazing thing about YC, by the way. They say it, they're like everything's off the record. So people share really authentic things. You have the founder of Airbnb, all these people, they come and they tell you like stories that they would not tell the press because everybody knows it's off the record. So there's this feeling of trust that's really really high. Um, and then my highlight of YC, which I think is the highlight of a lot of people, is you do a retreat in Sonoma for 3 days. You go in like a hotel in Sonoma for 3 days, and you do a bunch of team bonding exercises. It's literally sitting in a circle and talking about like what's a hard thing you did, like what's a good thing you did, like what's going on with your company, how do you feel, and it's super therapeutic because you're just like it sounds a bit like a meditation weirdy, but it works really well. You're surrounded by people who are similar to you, and you're just like opening yourself, and you're being very vulnerable about what's typically not working. A lot of people pivot during the retreat, and they finally accept that their thing is not working. It's like an acceptance phase. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was a big highlight for me.
Interesting. I would love to hopefully be a part of this circle
Hmm.
someday.
I hope you get to.
Yeah, let's hope that I can do something good enough. I was going through your LinkedIn as well. I saw your post where you talked about that you were working on self-driving cars as well.
Yeah. So Cruise is a self-driving car. So Cruise is a company founded by Kyle Volt, who also was a co-founder of Twitch, YC founder, twice, two YC companies. He's an amazing founder. And so Cruise was basically number two, neck to neck with Waymo. There was an amazing company. I joined them in 2018, I think, and I stayed 4 years. And I worked on the ML platform, like ground truth team. It's very similar to what Scale AI does. We help with
Hmm.
data management, data set management, retraining models, and just like orchestration of like the offline ML workflows. And that was amazing. I mean, self-driving today, AI is really hot, and everybody finds AI. Like everybody knows about AI because of LLMs. But like back in the day, self-driving was the coolest thing ever. Like it was cars
Hmm.
driving themselves. It was the most advanced ML application, as opposed to like doing ML at Facebook re-ranking ads. This is like so much cooler way to do AI. Um, and so yeah, I worked there with Ben actually for 3.5 years. It was awesome. I loved my time there. It's when I really became like an ML person. I started doing ML at Pinterest, and then I did 4 years of it at Cruise, and after that, I considered myself kind of like an ML infra specialist. And yeah, Cruise the company has kind of died away. There was some drama that I won't get into. That's a bit boring. But the founder left. He's now building a robotics company, and the GM, the car company that owns it, is less interested in robo taxis, and they're more interested in FSD in their Chevrolets. And so they shut down the program, which was robo taxis. But it's great tech. Waymo, which is like you're not in SF, I think, but like in SF, there are Waymos everywhere now. They're like bees. Like you see these cars without drivers everywhere. The future is here, and it's really awesome.
And how do you think all you have gone through, like I have seen you went start as an ML intern, then work as star maker, URX, Pinterest Cruise. You had like a whole. How do you think all of this knowledge, all this computation of knowledge has uh, benefited you in what ways? Like in building Mocha, like how
Yeah.
should I put
I'm
it?
There's a lot of ways I could answer that, but I'll give you a very concrete one. So I've written a lot of software. I've worked with a lot of great programmers, and I've developed like some really strong opinions about how to write good software. This is pre-AI. You don't have an LLM telling you what to do. You got to figure it out. You got to put things in production, see them break, see what works, see
Hmm.
what kind of decisions make good software when you have a team of 10 people, when you have a team of 100 people, when you have a team of 2,000 people. These are different problems, and I've seen kind of like all of those. Um, and my biggest conclusion that Ben and I, my co-founder and I, my CTO, we really deeply believe that strongly opinionated software is way better than like cutting edge hype software. That's one thing. And we also love simplicities. Like, how can we simplify? So those two principles, like build opinionated software and like how can you simplify, are like guiding lights for Mocha, and they dictate a lot of what we do. I've seen a lot. There's a lot of people in our space, but I look at how they're building things and how they have the AI build, and I think it's overly complex, overly hypey, and not that good. And so that's why I think our tech is very good. Is that we've baked in basically decades of experience of writing software, and we put that in our AI, and we said this is exactly how you should build, and you're not allowed to do anything different. And this allows Mocha to be like really
Very
high
secure.
quality and accurate. It makes less mistakes. It's easier to maintain. It's easier to evolve. And so like that's our secret advantage is that I mean, I don't want to tout us too much, but like I think we're good software engineers. And so if you're using an app to build software for you, you kind of want it to be built by good software engineers, which is what our team is.
Interesting. When you say strongly opinionated code and software, strongly opinionated engines, I think that is some term that I've heard a lot. What do you mean by that? Like, if you could.
Yeah. There's a really concrete example that illustrates strongly opinionated software really well, which is Ruby on Rails. So, like in Ruby, there's one web framework. It's called Ruby on Rails. It's really popular, written by DHH, who's a prolific programmer. It's an amazing framework, and it has one way of doing things. It's like this is how you do routes. This is how you do database like ORM. This is how you do job queues. This is how you do middleware. This is how you do auth. And because there's only one way, and it's been the same way for like 10 years, they've just like matured the hell out of it, and it's insanely robust, mature, and like just it's boringly productive. And so when you hire a Rails engineer and they've worked on a Rails app before, they can
Hmm.
onboard to your company and make a lot less mistakes because they know how to do auth, they know how to do like jobs, they know how to do web framework, they know how to do middleware. And so like that's what I call boringly opinionated. So instead of like, oh, a really cool new thing came out last month, let's try and put it in our app and let's glue together 17 cool things that like they're all cool by themselves, but they have like they're rough at the edges, and two, when you glue them together, they're not really designed to work with each other. And so that's where I think software gets really bad. So strongly
Hmm.
opinionated basically means mature, and there's only one way of doing things. And if you have those two things, it means that if anything breaks, when you fix it for everyone because there's only one way of doing it. So if middleware isn't good and you fix middleware, everybody gets benefits from it. And so that's what we call strongly opinionated software.
So with Mocha, I think as people build some products, I think something that I personally observed is there is a huge gap as people are building AI softwares. There's a large gap in terms of documentation for those AI softwares as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you do you think this space of documentation with AI builders, where do you think this space going? Because
I
I
think it.
think with
Yeah.
the code.
I agree with you. I think it's like really lacking. Like basically today, if you're non-technical, these tools are very hard to use. So we see a lot of our users being actually ex-engineers or somewhat like adjacent to engineering, and therefore like a PM that's worked with a lot of engineers, and therefore they know how to talk the talk. But I think that that's because documentation and training is lacking. I actually think that in the future, right now we're very focused on the core tech, but to make Mocha truly valuable, we need to focus a lot on education. And that goes through like tutorials, better documentation, like wrappers. By the way, Mocha today helps you build a website, but the vision is a product building platform. So we
Yeah.
want it to help you think about your features, refine your product ideas, like simplify your product, like deploy A/B tests, run some analytics. Like all of this is part. If you're part of a product team at like Pinterest, you do things a very specific way, and that leads to a very good product. The same thing at Airbnb or whatever Silicon Valley's good startup. And so we want all of that to be baked into Mocha. It's like a product building platform as opposed to just an app AI agent developer. But today,
Hmm.
that being said, we're really building the core. So we are just like mostly the agent developer and the host. And that's why I see people that are doing a good job building tools before Mocha and also to troubleshoot Mocha. There's an ecosystem of tools kind of like developing. And I think it's very early days. I think we need a lot more. If we want truly everybody to be able to build an app, then we have a big education gap that we need to cross. The TAM is huge, right? Literally everyone, like think like everybody, billions of people. And so if my mother's going to be writing apps, like she won't understand any of these concepts. There's going to have to be like a lot of hand-holding, education, troubleshooting that goes with it, which will be new tooling, I'm guessing.
Yep. I think in a nutshell, we finally have figured out with amazing tool like Mocha how to go from English to code to bridge that gap. But I think there's again a complementary need for tools that can go from code to English for non-tech people who can
Mm-hmm.
simplify it into simpler words that can be understood. So yeah, there's that. Do you think I was just thinking about this while you're talking about it. Do you think this evolving into a space where maybe 5 years down the line, tools like Mocha are being taught in school, like children are being
I don't
prompt engineering becoming an active part?
First of all, this is a very hard question because I think school is going to change a lot with AI. I think school is going to change a lot in the next 5 years. And so I don't know if we're going to be doing AI tutors with AI or so I don't know. But I don't really think so. So I think my opinion on school is the point of school is to teach you how to use your brain, not use specific tools. So that's why I like teaching kids how to do like abstract things like math and physics and problem solving or studying history. Because tools will change. So if you learn one tool, but then that tool changes 10 years later, all that learning is kind of for nothing. But if you've learned the principles of how to learn how to use a tool, you could just reapply, you could adapt time and again. So I don't. It's like saying, would it be worth it to teach kids how to use Google? Not really. Just teach them how to like think clearly, and then they'll know how to
Yeah,
ask Google a
and
clear question. Yeah.
yeah, interesting. Yeah. I mean, do you think with the scene of AI evolving, how do you think the whole narrative of schooling and traditional degrees evolving?
So I think traditional degrees are always going to exist. I think there's always going to be like a hierarchy and an elitist class of people that want to go and get good diplomas. But the what we teach and how we teach it, I think is going to change a lot. I think there's like human nature, tribal reasons why we have like good schools, middle schools, less good schools. And I don't think that's going away because I think that's based on human nature. Some people are really competitive and they want to be part of the best. And if it doesn't exist, they define a scale that allows them to say this is better. And so like whatever it looks like, typically schools are like at the top of that. They define a scale of what's better. It's entry. It's hard to get in. Is typically the way they do this. But how we learn, I think, will change a lot. I think my biggest the thing that I'm the most confident in is I think we will move away from one teacher, hundreds of students or dozens of students towards
Hmm.
a lot of one-on-one AI tutoring with the teacher being able to just step in and do like very, very dedicated one-on-one like helping. So it will feel a lot more like disciples, like Aristotle and his disciples, like you're
Mhm.
talking with one person who's adapting their teaching style to you, as opposed to like a one-to-many, which is the way we do things today. Because people learn differently at different speeds, they have different preferences on how to learn, and I think AI allows us to adapt to that in a way that wasn't possible before.
Yep. Another thing that I mean, I think that I never thought about it that way, that it will be personalized tutoring. I think a lot of things with AI, thankfully, are getting personalized. Like people who have to do apps, but they don't lack a feature, they are literally using tools like Mocha and building their own to-dos or building their own CRMs with their personalization. So I think personalized, tailored solutions is something that is something really evolving. Do you
AI is
think,
ultimate personalization. AI just adapts to whatever they're talking to. They can help you build your own website with Mocha. They can answer your personal questions. They could teach you things at your own speed. They could do all these things. They could speak your own language. They could do all the things. They could just personalize hyper to you. In the future, I think even apps will be personalized. I think you'll have your version of like Twitter and I'll have mine, and you'll ask the AI like, "Hey, I don't like this tab. Take it away. I would like you to make tweets big." You'll probably be able to customize the look and feel of apps using AI. I think these things are coming. Ultra personalization.
interesting, and do you see with this ultra personalized tailored solutions? I think pre AI era, there was a time where like there was a huge gap of tech, but with it slowly dissolving, do you see smaller teams of people being able to take up larger companies head on?
Definitely. I think companies are going to become pretty bimodal. There's going to be like huge enterprises with a lot of people, 100, like 10 to 100,000 employees. And then there's going to be a lot of really small and lean companies. Like Cursor has only 50 people or something. We're going to see more and more of that. And we're going to see less and less of companies of like 300 to 700 people, which makes a lot less sense, I think, in the future. We'll see a lot of lean, not one, but I think like
Teams
5
of
to
five
50
ten.
people. We're going to see a lot of those. Very, very kind of successful ones too.
Interesting. And if if I'm a all good.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. And if I am a person who is 16 or 20 years old who is just getting into college, what do you think? What's your advice on someone who wants to get into coding? Because now the coding and development scene is evolving. So what new ways should we this scene be evolving if I want to be ready for a AI first Mocha world?
Yeah. I think you need to ask yourself if you really want to learn coding or if you're doing it for another reason. Are you learning coding because you want to like make money? Are you learning coding because you want to build an app? Those are different reasons that like you want to understand how code works and how computers work and you want to get to the bottom of it. I think only in the latter case should you pursue coding today. Like only if you're deeply interested in computers and how it all works. And there will always be demand for people, but the bar is going to be higher. And so then your job now is to go use LLMs to learn and go really deep, learn as much as you can, learn a programming language, learn a second one, learn how computer architectures work, go buy some hardware, go and put together a basic computer manually. Like do all the stuff that just learn how it all work, how the full stack works, because there will be a need for you. But if your goal is if you just want to make money, which is fine by the way, if you just want to learn coding because you think there's a lot of money to be made by making a global internet business, that's a totally worthy goal. But that's different, and maybe learning how to code isn't what I would recommend. I would instead recommend trying to learn tools like Mocha actually that make you a lot more productive to achieve that goal. So clarify what your goal is. And no matter what your goal is, AI will help you. If you want to make money, tools like Mocha will. If you want to learn code, like just ChatGPT and Claude, you could ask it questions. It could be a great tutor. You can learn faster. I think there's no matter what, clarify your goal and then just double down on it and use AI to get there faster.
Yep. I think a lot of the population right now is someone who wants that money. And yeah, I think people who are genuinely curious, I think deep journalists, people who have deep knowledge with as well, will be the people who will be dominating the scene. Yeah, but I mean, great talk, man. And I know we have been talking about Mocha. I did check out your tutorial, but what's the scene? How was the release timeline? And when can everyone try
Yeah.
things out?
So you could use Mocha today. You just go to getmocha.com and you could use it today. We have a free tier. You could try it out, and then it's $20 a month for our lowest tier. It's really good value. We lose money on the low tier. And then in a couple weeks, so it's June 17th, so end of June, early July 2025, we're going to release backend, which is like databases and tables and APIs, and that's when you could really start building useful software. So really, we're releasing Mocha 1.0 in a couple weeks that we're really excited about. And you should definitely try it then, or you should subscribe to like our newsletter to get the announcement when it comes, because we think it's going to be like really a standout launch compared to what's out there right now.
Yep. I mean, I did play around with Mocha, and that demo platform you had, which was something similar to Riverside or TLDV. The interface was one of the neatest interfaces I've seen out there. So
Nice.
brilliant stuff, man. And yep, guys, I'll be dropping the link in in the description as well, so you can try it out. And yep, with that further ado, yep, that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Harshal.
Thank you,
This was
man.
great.